So I thought, why not film a video of me getting ready and telling you a story. It's on screen, by the way, from my trip to Israel and the UAE. I was in the UAE airport. I was at McDonald's actually, and this woman comes up to me and she's like, "Oh, where are you from?" I was like, "Oh, I'm from Israel." She was like, "Wow, what are you doing here?" And I told her about our fellowship and our trip, and we came to learn about the Abraham Accords in the UAE. She was like, "Wow, that's amazing. I've never really met an Israeli." And she was like, "You know what? Something happened to me the other day." She tells me she was at McDonald's and there was a flight that was running behind on a flight to Israel from the UAE. And there was a woman who was ordering at McDonald's and she asked her, "Oh, are you flying to Israel?" And the woman apparently got super angry and she was like, "Oh my God, how dare you ask me if I'm going to Israel? Like, those people colonized my land. How could you mistake me for an Israeli? Like, I hate them. They're like the worst people in the whole world. They murder my family, blah, 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 blah." Like, and this poor girl was like traumatized. And she was like, "Yeah, I know nothing about Israel. I don't know anything." Yeah, and she's like, "Well, can you tell me more about it?" So I stood there for a while in McDonald's at the checkout and we talked, and I told her about the long history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and why this woman may have acted the way she did. And not to hold it against her, but I hope that she doesn't have a horrible impression of Israel or even the Palestinians, because the way one person acts isn't the way all people act. She was so curious about Jews and Israel and the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. And I mean, I felt like it was like my job after going on a fellowship like this one to take the information that I learned, this is so interesting, and talk to her, and we just had the most beautiful conversation. There are several lessons I learned in this interaction. One is you should always talk to everyone. Don't steer away from uncomfortable conversations because you never know what people know and don't know. And it's important for Jews and Muslims to talk to one another and not be afraid to have a conversation. I learned this conflict is beyond complex. Being someone who's confidently knowledgeable about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, wow, I still struggle holding a conversation about it. And now that I've been and experienced both sides and heard different perspectives, I still couldn't give you an answer to the conflict. And if there was an answer, there would have been one a long time ago. So just remember that it's way more complex than you think it is. I also hope that we all take the time to get to know one another and share our own experiences. There's no progress in hating one another, and it needs to start with conversation and education. So just communicating with one another is key to the peace that could possibly happen in the Middle East. I learned that not everybody knows what you know. Not everybody's had the same experiences that you've had. Not everybody wants to know what you know, but take the time to talk to and educate those who are interested in learning more and want to push the envelope. I definitely learned that kindness gets you a lot further than anger and overreacting. I definitely learned that there is a lot more work to do, and there is definitely a future of peace, because it's up to us, this generation, to get to know one another, spark conversations, spark hard conversations, and push for change. Oh, that was too much. And push for change. One thing that worries me deeply is my generation. Is it that Gen X, Gen Z, Gen X, Y, Z? I don't know. But there's a lot of misinformation on the internet and social media that spreads. And I know that I'm lucky to have had these experiences firsthand, and not everybody is. And unfortunately, there's a lot of fake news out there, and it takes a lot of extra work to learn things and understand complex situations such as this one. So I really encourage conversation, and I hope that our generation will be the one to make change instead of divide even more, because the hate on college campuses right now towards Jewish students and Israel is not productive, it's dangerous, and it needs to stop, because these are the future leaders of the world. I want peace, I want togetherness, am I doing this right? My goal is always to encourage dialogue and promote education, because education is the road to peace. That being said, I don't know if anyone's actually gonna watch this video, but if you do, I hope you learned something. Talk talk to you guys soon. Bye. I almost forgot.